Welcome to Building the Best You, a destination for you to reimagine what is possible in your life and then create it. Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm your host, Jeanne Collins, and today we're talking homeopathy. Hopefully, I'm even saying that correctly. I'm not 100% sure, but we're going to find out. Homeopathy. Thank you.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I'm like, I kind of know what the word is, but kind of not. So everybody, today we have Krista on the show. Krista Rivet. I think I'm even pronouncing it. Rivet. Oh my goodness. Rivet, right? Rivet. Okay. Today we have Krista Rivet. Believe me, no one can say Jeanne correctly anyway, so I'm used to it. So we have Krista on the show. She is a homeopath. She is going to help us understand what in the world that means, because honestly, not only can I not pronounce it, I definitely would not be able to do a good job describing what it is. So Krista, welcome to the show.
Thank you. And yeah, I appreciate so much you contacting me and reaching out and wanting to learn more. So I appreciate it. And I'm so happy to be here.
Well, thank you for that. And you are coming to us from chilly Buffalo, where, everybody up in Buffalo does not mind the snow. And I'm here in Connecticut complaining about the snow and the cold. And you're like, it's nothing.
Yeah, it's pretty.
I love that. So if we could start off, can you give us a little bit of background about yourself and kind of how you got into this field of work?
Yeah. So as a little girl, always interested in health and the body and just something greater out there, asking questions and just very deep thinking, and so moving forward into life, always want to be a doctor or science, something in science and research. And, I went to study my undergrad in psychology. So that's also a big passion as well. So kind of the two, which is homeopathy that we'll get there. And then I took some time off because my husband played professional hockey, actually. And so I lived with, supported him in his journey and always dabbled in self-teaching and took classes here and there. We got married, had children, and it was with I have 4 children, and it was with my second born, my son, who's now 21. He was 4 at the time and had chronic ear infections and congestion and adenoids swollen and, you name it, like that whole, which I see now often in help. And my mind was like, but what is going on in his body that's creating this? Because my daughter, who was about almost 2 years older, had nothing. So what is going on in him? That's my thought process. And I didn't know anything else but traditional allopathic care. And so, of course, going to ENT and, had his adenoids removed and on medication and, again, antibiotic after antibiotic and kept reoccurring. And I'm like, but why? Why does he have fluid in his ear? And the answer I got was, that's the $1 million question from the ENT. So I'm like, I am going to find the answer. I did. And so after all that, it led me to, and it's funny, I don't remember how or why, just, Googling and all of that at the time, homeopathy. And so I found a local homeopath here and brought him in the midst of all of this. And I was shocked. I was like, what is this? So the process too, all the questions she asked and, what ice cream does he like? And how does he sleep and his mood? And I'm like, but what does this have to do with, the fluid in his ears? And now I get it and we'll get into that. But it was in the middle of a big blow, like a flare, like an infection that was actually MRSA. So I was terrified and it was in his ears and the doctor gave me, ear drops and nasal antibiotic and antibiotic overall. And I didn't use that. And I had it on hand because, of course, my own healing journey, which I'll probably get into as well, like very strong health anxiety and the fear. And as a mom, we just naturally are. So I held on to it, but I gave what my homeopath gave. And I could not believe the next day, no fluid, no discharge in his ear. Like visibly it was coming out. I just kept with it. And it was four little white pellets. And I was like, this is magic. Like, what is this? I need to know more. So 2 weeks later, we go in and get the checkup at the ENT and I'm terrified, like a little kid in trouble. Like, oh my God, I didn't do what he told me, but he's fine. And I was so scared. And he looked in his ear and he's like, wow, this cleared up beautifully. And that was my turning point. I am like, okay, I am diving in. And so I enrolled into school and actually the Canadian College of Homeopathic Medicine in Toronto, did it distance. And did it more for my own, because I'm like, this makes sense. Like, it made so much sense in the healing I saw. And he just kept healing. And, and now today it's, he's just so much stronger and vibrant versus the road we would have gone down would have been like Flonase and all these suppressants and more antibiotics. And it really doesn't get you anywhere. But if that's all you know, So again, there is a whole other world, and which is homeopathy. And so yeah, I went on to study and treated my family for years. Went on to have 2 more children before I officially started practicing almost 10 years ago now to the public and as a practice.
Wow.
So yeah. And most homeopaths have that story. There's always something, why? Because it's not like you set out to be, I'm going to be a homeopath when I
Yes.
grow up. Like people don't know what it
Yes.
is. So it's usually from a personal experience of health and recurring illness.
Yeah. Well, and we all know having little kids on antibiotics all the time, that's not good.
Yeah.
However, having an ear
No.
infection is also not good because you don't want to damage their hearing long
Yeah.
term and have so it's sort of like you don't even know what to do.
And that's where I work with a lot of, mothers because of that conflict, right? You're pulled, like, it's not right, but what are you going to do? You can't just leave your child. And so now when it's so empowering, it's the most empowering medicine there is. And yeah, it's beautiful to work with moms and their
Yes.
children.
Okay. So before we keep going, what is homeopathy? Did I get it right? Homeopathy.
Homeopathy.
Okay.
Yes.
Homeopathy. I should know
Yes.
how to say that. There's just like an extra syllable in there. I don't know why.
Yeah, the
Homeopath, I
EO,
get.
I think.
Homeopath, totally understand that word.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, I know how to say that word. So, what is it at its most simplistic form?
So yeah, and really I share, like I teach a 101 class for this reason, because people want it, but it's like, what is it? And it took me almost a year into my studies to still understand, because I'm like, what is this? So really it's understanding the body, like what we've been taught is really, we've been led astray, and it's not how our body works. Like our body is wise and it's built to function together, like all the organs and systems, like we're intelligent beings. And symptoms are created from our body as a way of communicating to us and a way of trying to restore balance. So when something is out of balance at the deep, deep wisdom level, we get symptoms. And so homeopathy is a medicine that understands this, and it comes in, at this deep, deep level. We call it like the vital force or life force, like the wisdom that flows through us. And so it comes in at this level to stimulate the body to heal, to start moving in the direction of healing. So we're matching the frequency of the person. And so again, we're always treating the person as a whole, not a symptom directly. And again, it's so completely opposite of our mainstream. We treat
Right.
symptoms, and symptoms are the bad
Yeah.
guys. And they're not. So it's reframing to really understand homeopathy. You really start to begin to understand your own wisdom. And it's very empowering, and we lose fear. And then when you understand your body, you can understand homeopathic medicine because it's working at this level of matching to the vibration of what caused the disturbance that created all the symptoms we have. It comes in and, just it's like a little nudge to get the body going. So the body takes over. So it's an energetic medicine. So it's also not like herbs or natural, like naturopathy or naturopathy, not the same thing. So a naturopath is not the same as a
Okay.
homeopath. So yeah, to go in a lot of what it's
Yeah.
not, people almost often lump it, together. And it's really, really its own medicine. And it's been around for over 200 years. So it's nothing new. But yeah, it's working with our own innate intelligence.
So, okay, that's very helpful because I was like, oh, herbs, supplements. All right. So you already answered
No,
that
no, no,
question.
no.
It's not that. Okay. Energy. Energy is something that people have a very difficult time wrapping their brains around because they can't see it. You can sometimes feel it, but
Yeah.
most people can't see it and very often can't feel it. How do you explain to people what energy is?
So again, our physical bodies are a physical, the physical. And so just to go back quickly to like herbs and natural things, like even colloidal silver or oregano, like all these things that is not homeopathic. It's still working on the physical body. So herbs and supplements are in your physical body. They can
Sure,
be
okay.
measured. A remedy works at
Yeah.
another level. So there's no interaction. And that's why you can take them with medications as well. It's coming in at the energetic level. So yeah, and I get that, but then it's kind of mind blowing to me because we are energy. It's almost like, how do you not, like, you can't deny that, even when your heart starts beating when you see something, like that's just an impression from seeing something in your emotional state, and your body responds. So there's nothing tangible. Like what's keeping your heart beating? Like that was my question as a little girl. I'm like, what is making our heart beat? There's something flowing through us, and this is life. Like that's life, and that's the life force. So that is energy. And then everything around us is energy. And yeah, it is. And even like light, you turn on a switch and it's like, where did the light go? Like people don't stop to think the depths
Yes.
in our universe of this magical stuff that So when you start to think like that, it just makes so much sense. And it's really a progressive medicine, even though it's literally 230 years old, but it's way ahead of its time. And it's still kind of ahead of its time, even though it's not, because we are energy and that's why it works. But yeah, it does get a bad rap when people throw that or use it loosely, but when you really look at the science of it, there's so much science behind it and so many studies, but people just aren't aware of that. But yeah, it can be hard to measure because we're not seeing it and it's so individual. So again, that's, another kind of side topic of the individuality of it, because we're not choosing a remedy for a
Right.
diagnosis. We're choosing it for the person who has it, because their energy and their makeup and how they feel and how they express their symptoms is so very different. Like if you and I had the same, diagnosis, we'd have two different remedies because we're very, very different. So it's very individualized, according to, again, who we
Right.
are.
So I'm so fascinated. Okay. How do you help people determine, I'm guessing, where their energy is and where they want or need their energy to go for their body to start healing itself? And that might not even be phrased
Yeah.
correctly. So if not, help me out.
No, I understand. And that's a great question. So again, we're looking at the symptoms. So we're not treating the symptoms directly, but we use them and they're clues. So your body creates symptoms and that makes a diagnosis or an illness. And so, but if you look at the person and their experience of when they started, a lot of times there's always a mental emotional piece too that we look at with the physical body. So we're combining all the parts of ourselves. And so when we assess the person, it's usually a 90-minute consultation, give or take, sometimes longer, sometimes less, to really understand like you and the person, and from birth, even in utero, if it's from younger children, from birth up until now, and all the traumas and all the things. So literally it's
Yeah.
everything. And so that's how we assess. So it's not like we need, like there's no testing involved. We don't need blood work. We don't, it can be helpful to see what is shifting, but we go from what you are providing. The client leads the way, and usually the words that are used, or any anger or trauma, and with the physical things we go, and then I do all the work after and assess and come up with a remedy. So a remedy is what we call the medicine, and it has its own picture and state, and it matches. So we find the best matching to match the person as a whole, and when introduced into the body at the energetic level, the body will take over. And so it's not like I have to know. We match by the remedy and like what the person's giving me, and the remedy pictures from studying in materia medica and all the years of training. And it's not just that. It's not like a one time, here you go. So it's the response to that and what might fall away, what might come up, what old things might resurface from 10 years ago. It's incredible. Like I love what I do because it's just profound to see these aha moments, or allowing the client to see like connections, like, oh, I didn't even see that. Like when my skin started, it was when I divorced, or I lost a child, or, like all these connections. It's beautiful. And then they start to heal. And so emotional trauma can be released. And then the physical body might show another symptom. And then we follow up and I reassess. And so the body is so smart and keeps guiding us where to go until things are harmonized. It's truly a medicine of inner harmony. And the physical body has no choice but to respond, and symptoms stop or change and keep guiding us where to go.
Wow.
So I hope
It
that
does
helped
it does
answer.
help. It helps. Okay. So, you mention a remedy. Can you describe what a remedy might be like for somebody?
So remedies are from, again, our earth. So our world, our earth is just full of wisdom, and, again, plants, animals, minerals are the top three, groups. But again, they can be derived from healthy tissue like thyroid, or diseased tissue like tuberculosis or cancer, but they're diluted. So this is where, again, people get a misunderstanding, or if you Google something, or the medical community just can't understand it because it's not actually that substance. So a lot of the most poisonous things are the most beautiful healing remedies in homeopathy. So when you remove, like you take, say, arsenicum is made from arsenic. So of course, if you were to ingest that, or, you would not be living. But it's used to treat a lot of burning, colds, sore throats. Like again, what you might think of someone that had an arsenic poisoning or would experience when you take that same substance and you dilute it so many times, there's nothing material left in it. So nothing crude in it, only the healing properties. So what's left in it is the diluted form of that. And when you introduce it into the body of someone matching, like similar, like treats like, is what homeopathy
Okay.
means. So when you treat that into the body that has similar symptoms, the body gets nudged and it starts to balance and those symptoms disappear. So it stimulates
Yeah.
healing by matching the same, substance of what the person is experiencing. But because it's diluted, there's no side effects, they're not toxic. So that's where people are like, well, then how does it work? So that's where people question it. There's nothing in it.
But yet there is something in it, clearly.
Because it's
Right.
energetic. So the higher you
Yeah.
dilute it, the more potent it becomes, actually, because the vibrational frequency
Okay.
is at a different level and it can come in at a deeper level in our being. Because again, we're not physical beings. It's bypassing.
So, and this question might not make any sense, but as you're saying this, I'm sort of having a visualization of water has a vibration. There's an energetic field to
Mm-hmm.
water.
Mm-hmm.
And whether water is liquid or water is frozen, its energetic field changes, whether it's a liquid or a solid. Is it kind of something like that, where we're probably not aware of the energetic field of water, but
Yeah,
it does exist? We all know there's
exactly. Well,
energy.
and we are like, what, 70% water? Like we are water.
We know, right. We know that that's factual. There's no debate about that. Right.
Yeah, no, exactly. And actually, water dosing I use often in that. So I'll put a remedy, have the client or put in a little bit of water and you shake, you succuss it and tap it. And so it changes the frequency each time. So every time they take in a acute case, for example, if someone had a flu or fever and you want to dose every 15 minutes, I would have them put it in water and gently shake it. And that changes it. So then it's stimulating you a little bit different and gets your body healing even faster. So that is used in homeopathy and Veda. I don't know if you're aware of Veda
No.
Austin. Oh, you should. Yeah, she has wonderful work studying water and that exact what you just said. And she's used homeopathy in water and she freezes it and gets crystal
Yeah.
images. And it's so amazing, the wisdom and that's in the water. Yeah. No, it's all connected. And yeah, it's amazing.
So when people come to you, obviously you don't have to see them in person because you just said you don't
Hmm.
have to, there's no like blood work, there's no exam, there's no nothing. So people don't have to
No.
see you in person.
Hmm.
And the remedy, is it something that you're providing that they buy online? Is it something that they're creating at home based on products in their house? How does that work?
Yeah, no, definitely not at home
Okay.
with products in your
Just
house.
asking.
So they're made in pharmacy. No, it's a great question because again, people think homeo or home and they think
Right.
home
Yeah.
remedies, right? And no, I'm not concocting stuff in my kitchen and
Okay.
shipping it out. No, not at all. They're made in pharmacies. So there's homeopathic pharmacies around the world. Yeah, again, people don't realize the history of like used to be over 100 pharmacies in the US
Wow.
alone and before, yeah, and I think 1,000 colleges at one point. So it's incredible. Yeah, the history. So to start again, that's a whole other people can kind of study that on their own, but the history of how it got kind of pushed out is very interesting too. But yeah, no, it's a real medicine. And a lot of the doctors back then were homeopaths. But no, so there are pharmacies that make these, but it's very regulated in that way, like
Okay.
strict rule. Like it's not just
Right.
here, let me grab this out of
Right.
my garden and
Yeah.
send it to you. No, not
Okay.
at all.
And here, try a little arsenic and dilute it in water.
No, 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 no.
Okay.
No. No, no, no. It's highly like there's big pharmacies in the UK. That's one of the big ones. Boron, you've
Mhm.
probably seen in the
Yeah.
grocery store, the
Yeah.
blue vials. So that's probably the most popular one that people
Okay.
see. So yeah, and they're made in pharmacies.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the people who come to you, what is a common reason why someone would come to you?
So anything. So again, I know it's not like because
So
homeopathy
the next time
doesn't
I have a
treat.
cold, I'm calling you?
Yeah. So again, that kind of goes. So first of all, homeopathy treats anything because it treats the person. So whatever you have, when we assess you as a whole, we're treating
Yeah.
that. So if someone comes for a skin issue or, I'm more niching, I'm working with a lot of moms and children because that connection between mom and child is like nothing else. So a lot of moms come with, behavioral issues or chronic illness and first it's so important to get the mom regulated and balanced because when the mom's in a good place, that energy, again, the energetic connection, that's
Yeah.
undeniable too. Like as a mom, seeing our mood or even in life like you're around somebody that's you feel energy from people, their mood, if they're a good person or not, or their intentions, or if someone's in a bad mood, if you're susceptible or impressionable, or as a mom coming into my home, if I'm not in a good place, it's almost like the whole house is not in a good place. So the power that is and then perimenopause phase
Yeah.
hormones is massive, and being in that phase myself, and so that's kind of again, I think what I'm feeling and putting out, I'm attracting these women, and it's amazing to work with them. So really anything like hormones, anything chronic, like chronic illness where the allopathic model is completely missing the mark. Like we're sicker than
Yeah.
ever. And now, we're treating side effects from medications with more
Yeah.
medications. And that makes zero
Yeah.
sense. And so if you take off that medication, can you function? No. So that's the whole point. Homeopathy comes in to rebalance the body so it's working the way it should. Like our thyroids are designed to function. So it's not a thyroid issue, even though we think we're getting to the root of maybe our hair loss and our
Yeah.
fatigue. And, oh, it's your thyroid. Okay, well, let's go one step deeper. Why is the thyroid off? Like what is
Yeah.
fueling that? And so that's homeopathy. So it's deeper than functional, deeper than naturopathic. Yeah. So really anything we treat because we're treating the person who has that thing. So any chronic illness and, especially things that have been told, oh, we can't cure that or we can't heal that. You're stuck with it forever. I have seen and I've worked with people that no longer have those things. So it's so
Which is
empowering.
amazing. And I'm a huge proponent of
Yeah.
functional medicine. So you explaining that it's even a deeper level than that, that actually for me personally, like that clicks. I'm like, okay, I know it. I now fully
Yeah.
understand.
Because again, think about breaking up the body into
Yeah.
parts still, even in the natural
Yes.
space. Like, oh, take this for your sleep, take melatonin, or take this to help you poop. Take this to, you're still not addressed because it's all connected. So homeopathy is the only modality out there, like the only. And obviously I chose this because I've done the functional,
Yeah.
and all of that. And again, it has its space. It's just, this is how it's
Yes.
different. And it's just, there's nothing that gets to the depth of connecting the sleep, the poop, the skin, the anxiety, the depression, the mental emotional is
Yeah.
huge. I have people on medications that are now no longer, weaning off gradually. And they're just, it's just so amazing because you're connecting everything together. So it is a process, it is follow-ups and, you can't
Yeah.
expect, oh, one time. And
Yes.
you think of 40 years of something, you got to give it some time, but it's a beautiful process if you're committed and understanding the
Yeah.
process.
So, okay. All right. I understand so much more now. No, it's so cool. So, but I don't want to not talk about perimenopause and hormones because you brought it up and I'm in menopause. So it's a subject that's super near and dear to my heart here. So, does the work you do replace hormone replacement therapy or it sort of
Mhm.
adds on to hormone replacement therapy? Where do traditional medicines fall within your practice? If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, and HRT it is such a big thing
Yeah.
right now, and it's being, it's such, and yes, homeopathy can replace. And because again, when you understand the depth of what's happening, it's a beautiful time it's a portal I see. Like perimenopause, menopause is like a portal of expansion. And it's not easy, but again, you look at the individuality of this. Like your experience is completely different
Yeah.
than mine, or someone like our neighbors and our friends. Like I know people that are like dizzy and having vertigo or hot flashes or no hot flashes. So it's like, it's not the hormones, like it is, but again, why are the hormones not where they should be? So if you come in and put in hormones, yeah, you're going to feel better and let's just keep on trucking. But that's kind of how you got to that place. Because a lot of times women in today's world, like it's not the way it used to be. And we're burnt out before we even get to perimenopause or menopause. And our adrenals have a big role to play in menopause. And if they're already taxed, then you're going to have a hard time in menopause. So that's what we look at. It's not just like, here, a quick fix, put the hormones in. And maybe that's needed. And same with antidepressants. And maybe that's needed for a short time. But when you understand, like, what are you going to be on them forever? And there's side effects, or is it good for you? And there's just so much again, but understanding there is another way to address, we're not meant to have the same levels of estrogen,
Right.
in our 50s, but yet we're being told, oh, we're deficient. You need to put it in. But we don't. I don't agree with that because we're so wise that we're not, we stop ovulating. We're not meant to have children anymore. So why would we have the same levels when I'm
Right.
30? But in our today's world, we want to keep on going and get up early and push. And we're not listening to our bodies, to slow down and maybe honor old things. Like I see menopause and perimenopause as a portal again of old stuff. For me, it's been a lot of mental emotional of the past and things and coming up to kind of set free, like old stuff I've been stuck. And that could be physical for a lot of people, like past illnesses, even, or if there's been past issues with their period prior to this and they're on birth control or on other medications, and then they get to menopause, they're probably going to have a hard time because of that past. So no one's looking at the way before time, to get balanced first, and then you should have an easy transition, right? So again, the depth of going deeper than just the hormones
Yeah.
for you, like for individually. So yes, homeopathy, to put it short, is a beautiful, beautiful support. And even with, so again, it can be used side by side if someone's like needing something to gradually wean off or to help balance, to get you where your body is naturally supposed to
Right.
be. So yeah, it's a beautiful, you can use it together, without, but if people aren't aware that it's an option.
Which is a really powerful option because there are a lot of people that
Yeah,
don't
very.
want to take medication. And there definitely
Yeah.
is a huge desire for people to be living more cleanly, to be living what they feel healthier, however they want to define that, and getting off of medications because there is a push to put everybody on medicine for everything. Getting off
Mhm.
medications
Yeah.
is definitely, on trend, shall we say. And so now's a good time. And the belief, I think more and more people are starting to truly believe and embrace the concept that your body is capable of healing in many ways if you
Mhm.
position yourself and get your body in a state that it can heal. There's so much evidence that people can heal and that your body can heal. And so I think that is not such a strange concept anymore.
No, and if you stop to think, it created the symptom. Like your body created that. Like that's kind of like empowering, even though it's like, oh, it's not broken. It's actually created it to communicate to you. So if you start to think of it that way, it's like, wow, it's trying to speak to me, but we don't listen in today's world. Like we just take stuff, medication to suppress and keep on going and go to the gym and do this. And so that's a lot of the problem too, is honoring the wisdom and slowing down and, looking at outside obstacles to cure, we call them, of a job or relationship just running ragged, which I just see so many women, which I do it too, as a mom of four and running my practice. But I'm so aware, that I can slow down or we get sick. And then it's like, oh, what's my body trying to tell me versus getting mad at
Yes.
it? And we want to support. So homeopathy supports the body with what it's doing, whether it's hormones, whether it's a chronic illness, whether it's an acute cold that's putting you in bed. Like you perhaps needed that rest to slow down. But people, if they don't connect that, they just take, the Dayquil and keep on going. And sometimes, yes, life, we have to. I'm not saying everyone has the luxury, but at the same time, the bigger picture, you need to look at, where you're burning it at both ends kind of thing and make some changes. And that's where homeopathy too. It's so amazing that can come in at the deep energetic level to shift to have, like I have clients that just see the same thing so differently and quit a
Yeah.
job. Whereas they've been thinking about it for so long, but after a remedy, they're like, I just went in and I quit my job and I'm doing this. And they followed what their soul was speaking to them, but their mind gets in the
Yes.
way. And so, yeah, it's just so beautiful. And even you hear all the time, I'm sure, and I get it all the time. I eat all the things. I'm exercising. I'm doing the red
Yeah.
light. I'm doing that. And it's such a toxic place. They're not like it's fear based. But yet I still can't do this or I'm still sick. And that's homeopathy. It's getting to the level below any food, even if there's a suppressed trauma or a shock that was never allowed to move through properly, it's in there and it can affect our hormones and our, just the way we operate.
Yeah.
So,
Which I can totally
yeah.
relate to that. And I also think, especially as
Yeah.
women, as we get older and we get into perimenopause and menopause, we've spent decades running so fast. And all along the way, while many of us are raising children and building these careers, we run so fast that we don't actually take the time during the years before perimenopause to stop and to resolve some of those issues that might be emotional, might be physical, might be all kinds of things, energetic balance, all those things. And so I do think there's a compounding effect that it's added up, it's added up, it's added up until all of a
Yes.
sudden there's like some breakthrough moment of, hello, your body is screaming at you that it is just unhealthy.
Yeah.
And you can be eating healthy, you can be doing all the things, but it's still just not
Hmm.
enough because so much is compounded over such a long period of time that,
Yeah.
your body is still just screaming, it's just not enough.
And that is exactly what I feel perimenopause is, like that time of an awakening to be set free, literally, you're free from, having a monthly cycle. Your children are older. You're in a different, like you always hear, I don't give a, and the zero
Yes.
F's given at this age. And it's so true. You're coming up to freedom to live your soul. Like your soul is screaming
Yeah.
to be heard. And so it is a beautiful time. And so homeopathy just supports all of that. It's always supporting the body with where it's at, not fighting, not coming in, not stopping and telling it to be quiet. It's just moving it
Yeah.
through. And so it's
Yeah.
beautiful.
So do your kids follow this or do they think mom's a little wacky? or no? No,
No, no,
not at
not
all.
at all. It's so no, because they
Okay,
get it. Like
they've
even
seen
my
it.
boys, like so my daughter is 23 and she has her own homeopath and it's beautiful. They ask me, all the time, like, Mom, my friend has this, what do I
Uh,
give? Or they sent them with kits for school. And my sons, who's 21 and 18, no, totally get it. Cause especially I think that age through TikTok, all these, they're seeing the depth and the
yeah,
truth of what, is really they're all like they get it because it makes sense when you think of the body and what it's doing, like it just makes sense. So and then my 13-year-old daughter she's even said she wants to be a homeopath
ah,
because they're like, Mom, give me, and they're even laugh because even for hangover and
yeah.
acute things they're like, Mom, my friend loves your hangover pills. And so they use it for acute things. Next mama does what they have, so yeah.
That makes you kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're meeting them where they are also, which I think is also important in any type of care, trying to meet your patients, your clients, whatever, where
Exactly.
they are
Yeah.
and with help.
And that's so important you said that because that is where a client comes. I never tell them what to eat, how to do, like where they are and who they are. There's zero
Yeah,
judgment. So in the space of a consult, it's like a therapy session. A lot of
yeah,
people say it's not like I'm not a trained, even though my psychology background, but it is because you're going so deep and you're allowing them to
yeah,
share and there's no judgment. I'm like, I don't care what you eat, even though I ask about
yeah.
the foods. I could tell some clients are like, oh well, and I'm like, no, just tell me what you love. Like, do you eat ice cream for breakfast? I
Right.
don't care.
Don't lie
It
about
just tells me a
Don't lie
lot.
about the number
Yeah.
of drinks you have a
And I'm
week.
like,
Just it's okay.
yeah, just keep eating it if that's what you want. But it just tells me about them. And so the remedy picture would have like a craving for certain foods or so that's why I ask and they just feel very heard. And yeah, there's zero judgment and it's meeting them where they are exactly. So if they're still on medication or like I can't work with you or no, like homeopathy is just welcoming and working where you are.
Okay, so I have a couple other
Yeah.
questions. So you mentioned that it's a very old medicinal art form. So are there things that you have to stay on top of or keep learning? Or is it really all just so rooted in such an ancient philosophy that no, that doesn't exist?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm always learning. So again, as the world changes, like back Hahnemann is the founder of homeopathy and who was a medical doctor back then. And he was not happy with what he was seeing in the old ways of like bloodletting and all these stuff. And so he, discovered homeopathy. And so, yeah, it's built on the same foundational of classical understanding the person and understanding that disease is not the problem. It's the disturbance in the life force and the vital force that is the issue, not the symptoms
Yeah,
themselves. So really that's the core understanding. And then taking a case, we're taught, there's certain areas and how to assess a case and how to, go to your materia medica, which is the book of all the remedies and match it. And so it is an art
yeah,
form. It's such a science, it's an art and
yeah,
science. But I'm always studying with, new remedies that are maybe being, proven or coming up with or different ones that you evolve like any practitioner maybe or anything in life. You just keep
sure.
growing and growing with maybe new ways of prescribing or just from clinical experience. And so I'm always studying from like India. It's very big there. So I have a lot of Indian mentors that I study under and so many amazing homeopaths and books. So, and again, adapting like the chronic illness and the toxins didn't exist 100
Yes,
years ago, right? So you kind of have to adapt with that layer that's being involved in the person. And again, the stress, like you said, the burnout and all the stuff in our way of life is not the way it
no,
used to be. So again, perimenopause, to kind of go back to that, why it's such a big thing and people are having a hard time is we're just not living in a way that's conducive and supportive for our home hormones in the first place.
right.
But yeah, it's never ending learning
Well,
really.
which is good. Honestly, I find most entrepreneurs
Yeah.
love to learn, especially people in the
Yeah.
personal wellness space or anybody who deals with the body. It's just that there's always so much to learn and it's just so fascinating. Yeah,
Always.
which is
Yeah.
really interesting. So are you ever sick?
Yeah, it's funny you said that. Yeah, and at 6 so that's another whole I'm actually just getting over a
Okay.
cold now, and it's been a long haul because pushing and, again, I'm doing extra projects in my
Yeah.
practice and getting kids and all this stuff and Christmas and my 4
Yep.
kids
You
and
are
yeah,
human.
I crashed and yeah, and I'm human and I'm just getting over another cold and I'm like, "What is happening?" But I have that awareness and yeah, it could be frustrating, but I'm like, "You know what?" And so I go inward and homeopathy is helping me support and then clearing it out. And sickness is not a bad thing either. So I'd actually be more concerned if I never had a fever or never got
Ah,
sick. because then the body's in a suppressed
Okay.
state, really. So it's always good. You think of
Yeah.
discharges. It's your body's getting rid of something. So I actually welcomed this in a
Okay.
way because it slowed me down. So yeah, no, I just am getting over a tail end of a cold here.
Okay. All right. But that's a good way to look at it, that
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
sign, it's showing you something, it's a way of clearing out, and very often sickness is a way of slowing down.
And that's how you kind of have to look at symptoms in order to be empowered. And so that it's working for you. Like my body is doing this for me to teach me, or to my body needed it or, again. And it's just, if versus it's something's wrong and it's being attacked
Yes.
or
Yes.
broken.
Well,
Yeah.
yes. And I know personally for a long time when I was struggling, especially moving into menopause, I really felt like I was at war with my body. And being a mindset coach,
Yeah.
I was like, I know that's the wrong way to be thinking about this. Like, I rationally
Yeah.
know that that is not helping me get better by continually feeling, verbalizing, and saying I'm at war with my body, because that is not going to help me heal. But very often it's hard not to feel that way when you feel like your body is not performing the way you would like. And so
Hmm.
it's a very common feeling to feel like you're at odds with your
Yeah.
body. But it's great to know there are things
Absolutely.
out there and remedies and modalities out there that can try to help people, especially women, with that journey.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So, a couple more
Yeah.
questions. What does a day in a life
Mhm.
look like for you? What do you do for yourself to take care of yourself?
Sleep, I try. It's been hard because as my kids get older, I'm like, they're louder, they're up later, and I'm like, I wanna go to bed at 9:30. So, sleep for sure. Yeah, I just feel as we get older, I'm just like, I want sleep. Get up, and I try to get up earlier lately, again, honoring and not trying to be hard on myself at getting up at 5:45 or 6 to have that hour and read. I'm like, I'm sleeping until 7:30. Like, I need it right now. And letting that shame go of like, "Oh, I should have gotten up and done this and this and this." That's again the healing, of honoring and loving yourself. So yeah, right now I'm more sleeping in, but I do like to get up and make a tea or a coffee and just kind of read and get organized. Send my daughter off and usually clients and casework all day because I love it so much. I do Pilates, which I am
Ooh.
loving, and a lot of walking. Again, not so much lately with the cold, but yeah, and really, again, those physical things, but rest, more rest right now, and not pushing, and not, I canceled my Pilates this morning because I was like, I would like in my mind, I'm like, no, I could take this and just push
Yeah.
and go, and I'm like, no, I'm not. So I was so proud of myself that I canceled and stayed home and rest. So resting a lot right now, especially in the winter season. Like again, the wisdom, we're meant to be hibernating like the animals
Right.
around us
It's true.
and slowing down and not getting up at 6 and going to push a hit
Yeah.
workout or
Yeah.
something.
Well, and
So
you said something so important that I don't want to just skim over, which is shame. Releasing the shame of
yeah,
listening to your body and doing what your body might need at that time. And you're not
yeah,
saying I'm never going to Pilates. You're just saying, you know what, maybe not today. And I think women learning to give themselves that break, even just saying it's a break and not having any shame for
yeah,
listening to your body when it might need a rest is really powerful. And it's a
yeah.
great place. It's like if people were to find one place to start, it's like start there. Start there by not being shameful and not resenting yourself or being angry at yourself because you listen to your body and you do something that is good for your body, even
Hmm.
if it's something as simple as just sleeping half an hour more one day. It's important.
Hmm. And that's really that encompasses so much too, because again, that's why the noise all around us to do all these things. And then we feel shame if we're taking an hour just to read a book or something. And that's unfortunate. So trying to shift that back to it's
Yeah.
okay to take that time, and shame makes us more
Yeah.
sick than what we're eating. And so again, homeopathy gets that, and it gets to the level because if you're eating all the things, but you're doing it out of
Yeah.
restriction and you don't want to gain weight or how you look, like you're not that's not healthy, so that shame, it's not what you're doing, it's the
Mhm.
intention and the energy of why. So a lot of fear makes you a lot more sick than the actual thing you're fearing, and shame is can really lower your vibration, and then you're more susceptible to illness. So it's all so
So
connected.
connected.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything before we go, I have 2 questions, but is there anything that I didn't
Yeah.
ask you that you wanna make sure you cover or communicate that I missed?
Oh gosh. Well, that's what I was saying. There's so
I know.
much, as you can see once we got talking. Even acutes versus chronic, I guess would be an important thing because, like when to see a homeopath versus you can learn acutes at home, like an acute, like what is that? So that would be like a
Okay.
cold, a fever, an injury, a bee sting, a burn, like
Yeah.
something short lived, that comes in and out. You can learn that at home and take classes and you understand the body and help support the body, not suppress a
Right.
fever, like ever. The body's so smart, it's heating up. So we want to choose the
Yeah.
correct remedy. And again, there's multiple. So that's home
Okay.
prescribing. But when something is chronic, like, a cancer, an autoimmune disease, thyroid, anything chronic that you're living with a long time, like constipation would be chronic, acne, like anything
Yeah.
like that, hormones, you need to see a
Okay.
homeopath because again, it's what we've just
Right.
all talked about, assessing and understanding and connecting all the things. If you're choosing and Googling a remedy for constipation and sleep, you're not using it
Yeah.
homeopathically, in the homeopathic way. You're just still trying to treat the
Yes.
symptom. So that's a big thing to understand of, people they try to treat themselves at home for, anxiety and again, short-term and acute anxiety. Yeah, there's remedies. But if it's something you're struggling with at long-term, you need to work with a homeopath. And so 2 different ways of prescribing, I
Yes. Okay.
guess.
That makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah.
What's the best
Yeah.
way for people to find you? And I'll put it in the show notes too, but I always it's nice to have you say it too.
So I do have my website, kristarivet.com. And on Instagram is kristarivet.homeopathy.
All right. One last question. I love to have my guests recommend a book that has impacted you personally or professionally that you suggest people read. So, what book would you like to recommend?
Yeah, that's so hard. I'm like, oh, I have like 5.
You could recommend more than one. It's okay. You could recommend a couple.
Okay. Well, the first one that I always comes to, because it really did shape my future, I think, was Man's Search for
Okay.
Meaning by
Yeah.
Viktor Frankl. Yeah, it was in a psychology class. I think I was like 19 or 20 in university. And it just stuck with me. And I just actually have gifted it to my kids and they want to read it. And one's in psychology. So it's great. But yeah, that really propelled things for me, just shifting about, choosing your
Yeah.
reaction to things and, the meaning of things versus it's not your situation, but how you choose to see it. And again, it's so connected to
Yes.
homeopathy because you can, surrender to life and flow to life versus fight and resist, like all those words we used and with our body. So it's just that essence of that book really can be help so much in your body and in life. And so that really struck me and kind of, I think, propelled me. But yeah, and then there's another one I was thinking of, I guess, is Dying to Be Me.
Oh,
It's,
I like the
yeah,
title. I've never heard of that one.
yeah. So it's great because it's a quick read. It's easy. Man's Search for Meaning is a little, it's not, some people might find it more dry or something. I mean, I loved it. But yeah, Dying to Be Me, it's written, as a story form, but it's Anita Morjani. I hope I'm saying her name correctly. It's her account of basically dying to be me. You can kind of get, again, when we're not living our truth. And it's so connected to kind of the homeopathic modality because when you're not living and you're clouding and you're not speaking your truth and you're living for everybody else, you can get sick. And she was diagnosed with a leukemia, I believe, and was basically died, left her body, saw that, and came back.
Yeah. Oh,
Her
that's
story you'll
cool.
have to read, and it's well
Yeah.
documented. And she's healthy now, and you can
Yeah.
look her up and follow her on Instagram. But her story is amazing, and it just helps you connect back to yourself. And if you're connecting your heart and your mind, and not overriding again what like the rest and this and people
Yeah.
pleasing and can make you
Right,
sick.
sure, of course.
So those 2 I think are
Oh, I
great.
love that. That's so great. Thank you so much. I love that. And I try to read a lot of the books that my guests recommend because it just opens my eyes to things that I might not know about. So, and we include it in the show notes too. So,
Yeah, that's a nice story, and yeah. And then one last one I just would love to say
absolutely.
is Power versus
Yes.
Force. I love David
Yes.
Hawk. Yeah,
That's a
so you
good
probably
one.
know that one.
But a
Again,
good reminder on
it's
that one. So, thank you. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So again, the energetic and it's connected. It's not homeopathic, but it's
Yeah.
connected to understanding
Yeah.
perhaps. So
Oh,
I like that
which is
one. Yeah.
beautiful. All right. Thank you so much, Krista, for coming on the show. I learned so much I did not know. I really was thinking we are talking
Oh, good.
herbs, supplements. I had no idea
Yeah.
we were talking about energy. And I can definitely even think of things for myself where going to see someone like you could actually be really, really helpful. So I'm
Yeah,
hoping that our
absolutely.
listeners really learned a lot. And then if anybody's interested, follow Krista, reach out if she can help you. There really are so many other ways to heal the body, and your body is amazing, and you should treat it like it is the
Yeah.
greatest gift. So thank you for coming
Yeah.
on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, that's so well said. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And
You're
yeah, I
welcome,
loved
and
it.
we'll stay in touch. Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Building the Best You. If you are ready to take a deeper dive into transforming your life, check out my Empowerment Fundamentals course on my website, houseofgermar.com. Thank you, and I will see you next week with another inspiring guest.